chat out of this. First of all, thank you all for being here. It's amazing on a Saturday night of the Memorial Day weekend that we were able to get such a star turnout, and thank you all for coming. I had a chance to say hello to many of you during the reception, but some of you I haven't, and I do want to say hello and acknowledge the gratitude of your presence here this evening. My colleagues and I literally arrived this afternoon, and our first stop was the September 11 memorial. It was obviously a very moving moment for us, but it was also meant to send a very strong message that we are here in a city which is bearing still the scars of that savage terrorist attack, in the wake of yet another terrorist attack in our own country. Unlike the US, I'm afraid we've had to endure a very much larger number of terrorist attacks in India. But we came both as a reminder that this is a shared problem, but also out of a spirit of solidarity with the victims, who included Indians, as Indra was reminding me. Someone, a young Indian working in her own company, was one of the victims of 9/11. Indians, Americans, and very many other nationalities who were affected. It's a global problem, it's a scourge, and we must all fight it unitedly. So that was a very important message to convey, and my colleagues and I did that by going to the memorial and leaving roses on some of the names around the memorial pool. And having done that, we are now proceeding, as has been mentioned already, to 4 other countries before returning to the US, not to New York, but to Washington, D.C., on the 3rd of June, when Congress will come back from its recess as well. So our idea is very much to speak to a cross-section of public and political opinion in each of the countries we're going to about recent events which obviously trouble a number of people around the world and which now have subsided. There is a reasonable amount of calm that's reigning on the border between India and Pakistan today, but the fundamental underlying problem remains, and it's important that we try and enlarge your understanding of our thinking and our concerns about what's going on. So it's for us an opportunity. We will be in every country meeting members of the executive, meeting members of the legislature, meeting think tankers and influential foreign policy experts, and at the same time interacting with the media and public opinion in every one of these places. We're on our way to Guyana tonight, where Independence Day celebrations are about to take place, and we'll be seeing the President and the Foreign Minister and members of Parliament there, and we carry on similar programs in these other countries. Vinay had asked me to say a few words about what happened. By way of context, I mean, I think you're all aware that India has tried to be focused on a very different narrative from some of our neighbors. Our focus for some years now has been on being the world's fastest growing free market democracy, attempting to focus on the development of our economy, our high emphasis on technology and technological growth, and pulling large numbers of people from below the poverty line, not just into the 21st century, but into the world and the opportunities that the 21st century offers. And perhaps in that process we had allowed ourselves in some ways to be complacent. Complacent may be too unkind a word, but we had not perhaps braced ourselves sufficiently for the malign influences in our neighborhood that did not want that story, that narrative to be told in an uninterrupted manner. We had been seeing in Jammu and Kashmir, which, as you know, has for the long time been coveted by our neighbors on the other side, Pakistan. We had been seeing not just peace, but increasing prosperity. In fact, Vinay gave me this wonderful nugget that the number of tourists in Kashmir last year was double the number of tourists in Aspen, Colorado last year. So that was the kind of of not just normalcy, but growth, prosperity that the people of Kashmir were enjoying as Indians and foreigners were flocking to Kashmir for tourism. So some people decided that they would want, first of all, to attack that process of normalization. Second, to undermine the overall Indian narrative as well as the prosperity of the people of Kashmir. Third, by doing so in an atrocious manner, that is, it was not just a terrorist attack of somebody indiscriminately blowing up people with a bomb, it was a bunch of people going around identifying the religion of the people before them and killing them on that basis, which was clearly intended to provoke a backlash in the rest of India, since the victims were overwhelmingly Hindu. In fact, 26 people died, 25 Indians and 1 Nepalese, and the Nepalese happened, of course, didn't get a chance to say he was Nepalese, but he was a Hindu, so he would have probably been killed anyway. And quite astonishingly, one person who wasn't killed was a Hindu professor who happened to be able to recite the kalima, the first verse of the Quran, and therefore was not shot, which is a very interesting message. And it was very, very clearly, I mean, for us it was not that there was any doubt about the motives of these people, but it was particularly driven home. In many cases, the husband was shot and the wife was told to convey the message back that he was shot for his faith. And I'm very proud as an Indian to say that that did not happen, that there was no backlash, that Indians held together unitedly in the face of this atrocity. The Kashmiris, who are overwhelmingly Muslim, as you know, were not just completely distraught by what happened, but there was public rejection of this. The next day, the entire state downed its shutters. There was a public observance of support and solidarity for the victims. The state assembly as well, all shades of political opinion. One of the victims, I should have added, was a Kashmiri Muslim pony operator who attempted not just to save the lives of his customers, but to snatch the Kalashnikov of one of the killers, and it was turned against him. But others, I mean, I had a victim from my state of Kerala, who was a 61-year-old man who was walking in the meadow with his youngish daughter and her twin sons, aged 6, when they shot him. And I went to his home and called on his widow and his daughter and grandchildren. And it was very, very moving when this girl said that though she lost her father that day, she found 2 brothers. And the 2 brothers were 2 Kashmiri Muslim men who took her to safety, protected her sons, and eventually then accompanied her to the mortuary to identify her father's body and bring it back. So I give these examples just to say there was an extraordinary amount of togetherness cutting across religious and other divides that people had tried to provoke. But the message was very clear, that there was a malign intent that I've just spelled out for you, and India sadly had no reason to doubt where it came from, because within 1 hour of the atrocity, a group called the Resistance Front had claimed credit. The Resistance Front was known for some years to be a frontal organization of the banned, proscribed Lashkar-e-Taiba, which is on the US designated terror list as well as the UN sanctions committees. And India had gone to the UN Sanctions Committee with information about the Resistance Front in 2023 and in 24, and now sadly it had acted in 25. They repeated their claim the next day until, of course, global condemnation, I think, woke their handlers up to the dangers as represented, and then they deleted their claim on the 3rd day. But by then, the claim had been made, recorded, registered, and reported. And for us, therefore, the culpability lay not just with the 5 4 or 5, we're not 100% sure, evil killers who came to Pahalgam and did this atrocity, but also with those who had sent them, financed them, equipped them, trained them, guided them into doing this. And since we knew where Lashkar-e-Toiba is headquartered, it has its not just a safe haven, but a rather generous 200-acre campus in a city in the heartland of Pakistani Punjab. We also knew where the responsibility lay. Sadly, Pakistan chose to follow its usual path of denial. In fact, Pakistan, with the help of China, succeeded in removing a reference to the resistance front from the resolution of condemnation that was drafted in the Security Council, the press statement actually, not resolution, in the Security Council of the UN 2 days later. But though the name was not mentioned, it was, as I said, a matter of public record, and we knew what was happening. India replied immediately that we would not let this go unanswered. I don't work for the government. As you know, I work for an opposition party, but I myself authored an op-ed in one of India's leading papers, the Indian Express, within a couple of days, saying the time had come to hit hard but hit smart. And I'm pleased to say that's exactly what India did. On the night of the 6th, 7th of May, it was 6th here, it was 7th for us, at 1:05 in the morning, a time chosen deliberately to avoid any risk of too many civilians wandering about or any collateral damage, very precise and calibrated strikes took place on 9 specific known terrorist bases, headquarters and launch pads. Those included those of the Lashkar-e-Toiba in a place called Muridke, those of the Jaish-e-Mohammed, the organization that is responsible, amongst other things, for the murder of Daniel Pearl, some of you knew in New York, and others, Jaish-e-Mohammed in Bahawalpur, and in Muzaffarabad, which is in Pakistan, the Pakistani-occupied part of Kashmir, there were no less than 3 different terror organizations which had their bases there, Harkat al-Ansar, Harkat al-Mujahideen, others. And so India sent a clear message, number one, that it was not going to take terror lying down, it would answer, but equally that by delivering very precisely calculated, calibrated strikes on very specific targets, it was also sending a message that this was not meant to be the opening salvo in a protracted war, but just an act of retribution that we were prepared to stop with that act.